All right, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a discussion here with Simon and Chris, kind of off of, the discussion you and I kind of had, is kind of what spurred this idea earlier this year, is that, you were talking to me about some of the things that you loved about T.H.E. and even some of the things that you don't necessarily agree with. And so I thought, hey, so why don't we get with you guys, and as the year goes along, get with some other archers and stuff too. And hey, let's discuss just that. What are the things that the shooters love? What are the things they'd like to see us work on? And more importantly, even the things that they just absolutely hate that we do. And of course, we'll discuss kind of our opinions of why we do them and things sort of like that as we go along too. But like I told Chris earlier, I think this would be good for the public to see that it's not a fight, it's not an argument, it's just discussing and actually listening.
It's just opinions, not
Right.
what it is.
Right.
It's like whenever you and I were talking, I was trying to explain to you, the guys who shoot the long bars,
Yeah.
and everybody likes it, The guys who shoot the long bars don't like the trash.
Right.
They don't like to kneel down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really not gonna be interested in what you do.
Right.
And that's what we were talking about. Me, I love it for the simple fact, I don't come down here thinking I have to shoot a 400 or 450.
Right.
I come down here to challenge myself, just have fun.
Right.
I'm gonna shoot a recurve tomorrow, and I'm just hoping to end up in positive numbers. I'll be lucky.
That's what somebody shot a longbow today, and they wanted to know. Said, "Hey, is there an award for the lowest score? Has anybody ever won a tournament with a minus score?" And I said, "Actually, that has happened. We actually back when it was completely unknown." And I believe it was
30-yard max.
Yeah, it was a 30-yard max, and I believe it was 2003, that we actually had 20-something shooters come to the World Championship in the traditional class, and the world champion shot a minus 16. And so that was when I started reviewing it and went, okay, these guys need to be closer, to actually do this. And they talked with me back then saying, we never noticed it themselves, that when you get that +5, they were still hitting the target. And when they got a -5 for hitting the target, it really made them, and they told me then, said, your traditionalists are gonna shy away from this because it actually makes them look at that they have to hit the animal to kill it, not just hit the animal for a target. And he said they're gonna shy away, and that has been my hardest group to ever work.
Because that's the thing. I don't want T.H.E. to be a compound thing.
No.
I don't want it to be a trad thing. I wouldn't even want it to be a crossbow thing. I want this organization to be a hunter's thing. I don't care if it throws an arrow-shaped thing down range. Come play with us.
What about the air gun?
Air guns is hey, did you hear? At least it's crossbow. That is a air gun that's shooting a bolt. That does not have cams.
I get him going on that one.
Anyway, what I was actually talking about earlier, though, that we could implement if we could get it following. Me and Brandon was talking about it. A blowgun class. That's becoming a more and more popular thing for people to go hunt with. Oklahoma, it's not legal to hunt whitetail with it, but we can go hunt pigs with it. We can go hunt small game with it. In other states, it is legal to hunt whitetail with a blowgun. If I could get at least 5 of them coming, I'd put in a blowgun class.
Well, years ago, we had a guy, he never showed up, never brought anybody with him, but he literally asked me if, because he said he had some club that he went to shoot.
The slingshot guy?
The addle.
Oh, the atlatl guy.
Yeah, whatever that is, I said, get me 5 guys to come consistent and I'll open class. Never showed up.
But never came back again. Saw him one time, never showed back up. But all that stuff, I don't care. If it's legal, if you can get 5 guys coming, we'll put in a class for it. I want this to be a hunting thing.
Right.
That's why I shoot.
Simon, along these lines that Chris and I were just saying, kind of setting this thing up, what are some of the things that you personally love about T.H.E. And what are some of the things that you disagree with what we do?
What I like about it is you learning shots you can take from hunting. You know, and like I was telling Colton earlier, there wasn't a shot today on this course that I wouldn't have taken in real life. But I've shot this before, so I kind of know what to expect on the angles and, you know, what the
Right.
shots were. You know, for the class that I shoot, you know, max 30, that's perfect for me hunting. I don't need to know the distance. I shoot fast enough that one pin just can cover all that.
Because you shoot single pin.
Single pin, yeah.
Yeah. And kind of explain to the public, because they've heard Colton and I explain it 1,000 times. What does the single pin class, what is that really all about to you?
To me?
Yeah.
Well, it's about being able to set up my bow the way I hunt, and I can shoot it through the whole season with you guys. I don't have to change my arrows to go to another shoot,
Right.
which I have to do. I have to change my sight if I go to another shoot, because they don't allow lens in it.
Right.
Although I don't use magnification, I still need a lens to house my power dot.
Right, right.
So, and that's what I like about this, you just come and shoot what you have, and for me, the single pin just falls right in line with, you know, I'm not gonna shoot over 30 yards, we had that discussion too, even at a
Yeah.
monster buck, you know.
Mhm. And so,
That's
so
good.
that 30 yards for you, and that's why you relate to the class, is that's your ethical limit in the wild.
Exactly, yeah,
And-
because of my experiences,
Right.
you know, before I went with a lighter setup, the heavy arrow, at 22 yards, I'd make a perfect shot, and why did I hit him 2 inches below the top of the back?
Right.
And it dawned on me, it's not me.
You hit where you was aiming, the deer just wasn't there
The deer
anymore.
wasn't there, right.
That gets into kind of our light and fast stuff that we
Yeah.
talk about. Is just that is, it's not that the arrow at build itself wouldn't kill the deer. It's if it gets there fast enough to kill the deer. Is the deer still standing there? I mean, and that's what it gets into to me. I was watching a hunting show, and I'm not going to throw out any names, but a very predominant hunter. He's shooting at an elk. Now he completely admitted that looky there, that can happen. The elk didn't jump the string, it wasn't anything like that. It was a 70+ yard shot. And just as you see, they even slowed it down, just as he released, the elk just stepped forward. And he went all the way from a vital shot to hitting it square in the back hip. They wound up finding it, but he even said, that's not where I would have wanted to hit it, and we found it because I hit an artery.
Got lucky.
Yeah, he said, we purely got lucky. And so those are the shots that, it's not that people are not gonna take them, but are they ethical? And each person has to answer that question for themselves.
And that's like when we talked before. I don't agree with all your shots. There is some shots that you set up that I won't take in the wild.
Right. Well,
And
describe
that's-
some of those.
Okay.
Describe some of the shots we've done in the past that you wouldn't take.
If you can name a course and a number, I can probably describe the shot.
The little cheese goat,
Uh-huh.
I would never take that shot in the wild.
The quarter and two,
Now, I'm taking the quartering 2 shot. I don't have a problem with that.
just not on that size.
On
of
that
animal.
size of an animal, where you have your 15 ring, I'm shooting him in the leg.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna take that shot. He's gonna turn one way or the other, or
Right.
he's gonna walk closer. So,
Right.
you know, so I can get a shot. I don't have to take that shot.
So it's kind of what you're saying there in your mind. Maybe the fact that, and I'm just not thinking of this or what he said, is it that the cheese goes so low to the ground that you're saying even just standing up, we drew it the same as a deer.
Yeah, well, the 15 is underneath. I mean, you can just barely hit the top of the 15. I mean, you hit the 16, that's where you wanna hit, but I mean,
Right.
the 15 is almost curled underneath.
Okay, well, so I'll have to look.
We'll have to reassess that score.
That's
a good point.
that's a good point, and that's why I want to have this conversation, is because, see, I know for a fact that I drew it to put it in the same place that I put the deer.
Right.
But as what it is,
difference-
because it's lower to the ground, that's changing the angle your arrow's
Almost
coming
a
in.
slight deer stand shot.
Yeah,
With his own hand.
so
That's what I was-
we need to look at that to see, do we need to pull that, good, that's why I asked, tell me what.
That's why we're doing
And
this.
that, you know, whenever we were eating dinner earlier and we were talking about the turkey shot,
Mhm.
it's not a hard shot. It's 18 yards. But the problem is you gotta black target in a black hole.
Mm.
And had we had sun today, it would have been no big deal. You got a cloudy day, rain, you can't even see the rings. Even with binoculars, you can't see the rings.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay.
Which I
it's
get
gotta-
what you're
It's
saying
gotta be in
on
an
that.
area.
I get what you're saying on that one from a target shooting setup, but the argument I will always use is, last I checked, a turkey doesn't have score rings on it.
Well,
And he can walk up into a dark hole.
Exactly.
And-
And to justify what you're saying,
Yeah.
when we shot it, he and I both hit 16. So I
You killed the bird.
We killed the bird.
Right.
But it's like,
And
for it to be fair for everybody.
Right. There
Not
is a
every-
target game aspect.
Not everybody's hunted turkeys, so not everybody knows
Where
where
they-
to shoot it.
And again,
Okay.
like I was telling Colton on that, in a real life shot, you know, I would just shot him in the head.
Oh, yes, absolutely, we get.
And if I can design a turkey,
Yeah, and
We actually have played with design after design, such as we come up with one, and then we keep coming back to, but the magnets are gonna get blown out. We come up with a design to put the head, to cut the head off, and then put magnets both in the neck and in the body, so that you could hit it.
and literally
and
take his head off.
It would just knock it off, versus ripping it off, you know.
And we've also come up with a design, but then instead of 3D, it's basically a 2D. That's just like the pedestal on the legs of basically building a huge pedestal around his head to be able to stop the arrow impact.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's kind of like the apple on the nose of the R100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long does it take for there to not be a nose on that deer and it's just ear back?
Yeah.
And so look, we've looked at those things, but, cause yes, Colton says that in the pre-shoot speech when it comes to turkeys, I agree. In the wild, you're gonna shoot it in the head, or you're gonna shoot it in the vitals. And it's a whole lot easier to see the head than it is to
Especially
figure
on
out where the
football
vitals are on the
Right.
turkey that's not strutting.
But on that shot today, what told me was, okay, I don't even know exactly where I'm shooting because I have references with other arrows, so I can judge it off of that. But I'm able to make that shot with just experience, so if I can make that shot in the body, I can make the shot on the head,
Right, right.
you know.
I can see
Because
that.
you know, when you're shooting at the 16 on that turkey, you're shooting it less than a quarter.
That.
Right. See, I can see that. But that has always been our argument. I mean, I actually stood probably 10 years ago down in Denison, Texas with a guy, and it was literally an 8-yard shot. But I stuck him up underneath a big cedar tree on purpose and then had the stake standing in the bright sunlight. And he was like, but
That wasn't even a turkey,
Well, I
that was
don't-
javelina, wasn't it?
no, it was a strutting turkey,
Okay.
shooting it,
I remember it
Texas
as a
hard
trap.
shot going away. And he kept telling me, he said, but I don't know where you put your score rings. I said, I put my score rings where they're at in real life. Where would you aim in real life? And he said, me and you might have a difference of opinion of where a turkey's vitals are at. I said, I don't care about your opinion. I know where the vitals are at. I drew them off of actually killing the animal. I said, you may have a different opinion, yes, but you're gonna have to show me, and I say this about all of our score rings. And because we have people argue with us over some of the angles and stuff like that, I tell them, even with a rifle, I don't care whether it's a rifle or a bow, give me pictures of an entrance hole, an exit hole, and what happened in between. And then I will change my score rings to match that. Because, for example, I tell everyone that every four-legged animal is built exactly the same, and your hunter's reference is exactly the same on all of them, whether they're from Africa or North America. But the argument is, they say, oh, the African animals are further into the front body cavity. And that might be true because of the fact that their arms do this. But the reference point is still in the exact same spot off the back of the leg. The heart still touches the same reference point. And, and I've had so many people tell me that. They tell
But
us
like
that
you just did
blackberries
with the
do.
goat, like you just brought up to the goat, if you can bring up
Yes, that it's a.
that, hey, look at the angle, then we will, if you can show us the entrance and exit hole, or just make a good point like you did,
Yeah, because that's a different story.
I'm just saying,
then
if
we will
you-
go and move
If
scoring.
you have to shoot that goat and today it's nice and level,
Mhm.
and we all shot decent, we shot 10s, 12s,
Yeah.
a couple 16s. But it's like, if you're any at all above that goat,
Right.
You're-
I
you're
totally see
shooting-
that. Yeah,
you
that's,
could actually you could almost hit the 15 and go through and go.
yeah,
to the-
and I could actually see
and you're
the
not
reference.
going anywhere close to the
Yeah,
mark. You're
right.
just going.
And that one, that's what I'm getting at, is I can see in that one, oh, I just didn't think when I drew it on there, 5 years ago, I didn't think about the height.
Right.
Because if you remember, we just learned 2 years ago that we realized that it wasn't on that goat when it was inside 14, 15 yards that we hit high.
It was that he
because-
wasn't adjusting at the
Because
waist.
we thought on our single pin setup that at 14, 15 yards that there was a rise in the arrow. But no, it's the same thing as shooting downhill. They're so close to the ground that you've got to lean into it, and then your pin is back on.
Well, if you could position him to where he's maybe standing on the rocks with his front end
Well,
up a little
yeah,
bit.
I think if you just
If
if you just took the scoring rings and
Yeah,
raised
if we
it,
get,
He's
2
about
inches.
shot up anyway,
I'm just
and I'm gonna
guessing,
have to
but
phone
I
that up in
I
whatever
think if
we
we-
were doing. We'll move that. We'll
think
just
if we literally move the 15 ring up center point to center point, approximately 3 to 4 inches,
yeah, it would,
then
it would make
then
it,
it's gonna be going
it would make it a legit
Well,
shot.
you know,
right.
And the deer you had today facing us, the last shot, I mean, everything is good on that, so you
Right,
just need to
that-
kind of pattern it off.
That's
that
what I'm
way.
saying, and I drew them, so to speak, the same, but
But
until
the deer
literally
stands
now,
this tall and the
that's
goat's
why I
this tall.
wanted to
Yeah,
have
but
this
the deer has
conversation.
its head down and the goat has its head up, but
Right.
it should still be
Right,
basically, the same.
right, and I just literally, and it's funny, because all the other score rings that I ever draw, we step back and shoot to where we think the heart is, and then draw off of it. But I'm saying, I remember that when I got the goat, I simply
doing a
laid it
lot of
down,
targets that
and
day.
I drew it the side. I was literally looking at my chest shot on the head up deer and went, okay, same thing. And I drew it in the exact same reference points, but you're above that. You're not at the same level, like you said, it's okay on that last deer on the course, but for him, because he's so much low profile, I get it, I can see that.
The cat, the very first target today,
Mhm.
you haven't put the 16 on it.
Did we miss the 16?
I don't know. You drew that one. I was
Yeah,
over painting
I guess.
a bear.
Well, we got a dribble tool.
I will throw you under the bus again and again today.
Yeah.
You left my clothes at home.
I mean,
Unless the top part of it, the top part of the 15 is at the core line, you have about this much, and you have about that much of the 15 below it.
No,
Yeah, no,
I didn't look at it whenever I
There's-
said it.
there
He
should-
probably just forgot.
yeah, probably
So I
because.
have to go grab
And I
it.
drew it yesterday, and everything else was going wrong, so I certainly won't ever say that I'm above a mistake.
We as
and to be
human-
honest, the group in front of us, the guy that was shooting the recurve, one of his little ones hit right above the 15. He said, I gave him a 16, but the 16 ring's not there. I said,
Yeah.
okay, I mean,
Yeah,
We'll fix that. That's why we brought the dribble tool. Just in case we
I
did
said,
something.
no big deal.
right. Well, I mean,
I mean,
technically.
it is for everybody else, but it's
Well,
like,
the deal is that technically we can't go change it, to tomorrow,
Right.
because that's not fair to the
you're gonna give
people that's
everybody
already
else
shot
an extra
today.
You
point.
just might mention that in your speech at.
Fine, I will go shoot and protest it officially, and then we can go change it.
No?
It's
No,
not fair.
we
no,
can-
no.
It's not fair.
If
to-
you're gonna do that, I
Because
want my
that-
extra point.
Yeah, cause that's not a, that is a situation that we just messed up and didn't put a score in, so nobody gets the
16.
score for that target, and then after this, we fix it.
Okay, we'll
You can fix it.
we'll
next
discuss
week.
that more off camera.
Yeah. But anyway, so, okay, are there scenarios, aside from that target, is there another target that you can see that there's an angle thing to, and or is there any of the scenarios that you ever see us set up that you just wouldn't take in the wild?
The only other target for me is the leopard. It just seems to me like that things just aren't right, cause I guess he's quartered 60 degrees away, so you gotta have.
Oh, that black leopard we
Even in
have.
the flank,
Yeah.
it just seems like that,
His heart's too
It's-
far back.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause,
We'll have to look at
because you
it.
look at the opposite leg, everything today, that's how I judge my, okay, there's his leg, there's where the opposite leg is, that 15 should be right there, and then whenever, that's where I would focus. Now, some of them, it took me a little while to see it, and then, okay, there, it's right there, right where it should be.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that
And of
could
course, we
be,
didn't
that
shoot-
could be from time to time human error of
Yeah.
angle setting, but
Right,
because we do notice that sometimes if you have target lean or people pushing on the target, you know, when they're
Things
pulling
get
arrows,
changed.
they do get
Especially
changed.
on
They're
Monday
not
days.
perfect. Yeah. But you know, we'll definitely look at on that. Anytime somebody comes to us and says that they're not arguing that the kill zone completely is wrong, but the angle is wrong of the animal. I mean, hey, we reset a target this morning. We moved it about 3 inches on the hind leg that last feeding deer. Well, whoever, I think it was the other two guys that set it up, well, it was only about 3 inches, so you're talking 3 inch move in the back leg, you're talking maybe 3 to 4 degrees of the angle, but that makes it not correct, and that's the same thing we're talking about this cheese goat. That 3 to 4 inch move, you're only changing the degree 3 or 4 degrees, but that would make it travel back into the body properly instead of, I get what you're saying, especially when because that cheese goat sometimes gets set, you know, less than here to that other bed, you know, you're talking about literally 8 yards.
Yeah.
And then it's definitely wrong in what you're saying.
Whenever you set the cheese goat that close,
Yeah,
you can't shoot the 50.
right, I get what you're saying, because it's
Yeah.
curled under
It's
the bottom.
curled under the bottom.
Right.
But shooting your stuff,
Uh,
anybody that comes and doesn't come in the frame of mind that this is fun, this is just supposed to be for fun, and it's supposed to challenge you a little bit.
right.
If they don't come with that frame of mind, they're coming for the wrong reason.
Well, they're not gonna have fun.
No.
If they come out there thinking this is just like any other 3D shoot, it's why our new logo that we changed to, you know, if you notice on the new logo, we removed the name Dearman's. And we just went with True Hunting Experiences and then made a more modern logo, and it says in there more than 3D. And the reason for that is because we take it to a deeper level. And the only reason we removed the name Dearman's is because that was put in there because that's my wife's nickname for me. She always called me her Dearman because that's all I talk about is deer hunting. And so on the side of social media, we wanted to separate me, the deerman, from the sport, and then from the archery shop, and you know, everything that way. But otherwise, you know, because it's supposed to be about what we're talking about here is true hunting experiences. And that's what we're attempting to do, is give you the scenarios and things that are the what if situation. What if you were in this situation? What would you do? Would you take this shot or not? And like he's been telling a lot of people, even if you're not talking about a 6 inch wide gap, but on these quartering 2 shots, if you know you can hit it because you've hit it 8 times this year, then when that animal walks up and stops in that position, you're going to take the shot and it's going to be done and the animal's going to have expired.
You know,
Or
here's the
vice
thing-
versa.
Here's the thing, you haven't come and shot this, so you don't know that you can make that shot, and that, it is there at 8 yards, and you're cocky, and you say, I can make that shot, and you
Yes.
blow it.
This is exactly what we say. We have an actual phrase for that. We tell people that if you're at full draw and you've never practiced the scenario, you've never seen it, regardless of what scenario you want to talk about, and you're as a hunter and this sentence goes through your head, people, you never got to the word can, and that arrow went off. And, you know,
Our
because-
idea is to take the I think I out of the woods as much as possible. If I've already put you in the worst case scenario, in that borderline questionable, is this ethical, with the frontal shot, with a tight gap, with leaning around tree, with the add in blankety blank whatever. If I've already put you there where the only thing that's going to get hurt is foam and a scorecard, because if you do wound them, it's -5 here, then I'm taking the I think I out of the woods, because it's now in the woods. If you've been practicing those iffy scenarios, now it's oh buddy, you shouldn't have stopped there. Or, man, I got 9 -5s out of 10 times I shot this year. I need to let him take a few more steps.
For example, Colton, for years, he would not shoot anything 60 degrees quartered away
Couldn't hit it.
because he kept out here on the targets hitting the back hip. Because he couldn't get the back hip out of his brain, just like when we stick it next to a tree, to the tree, not the target. And he come up with himself, I've always taught people to, and your 3D targets don't have that, is to actually look at the front leg on the other side, the angle of, and follow the leg to the body, then go up 1/3, you're there. But you don't have that on a 3D target. But as what he said is what we do have is the weathers on a target. And he said that the heart
Sits right behind that.
right behind touches the back of the weathers. You know, if you draw a line straight down through the animal. And so he said he's learned that if he finds the weathers and goes straight down, regardless of the angle that the animal's standing, you're going straight down to the vitals. And his actual first kill that year that he did it, he texted me, hey, shot a good doe, she run about 60 yards, but I saw her fall, you know, she's down. And then he gets to her and he calls me, says, Dad, I shot her 60 degrees quartered away.
I never even knew. I honestly thought when I shot, I thought she was about 45. But literally all I could see from the deer, she was standing in tall grass, was the belly line up. I couldn't see the off leg to even think about aiming at that. I literally just back and shoulder blade straight down, poof, and killed her.
And you'd be surprised on the hunting shows how many of these producers or hunters
Yes.
don't do that. I shot that one a little further back than I thought, well, he was quartering away a little more. Well, it don't matter what the quartering is. If you go use that scenario you said it come down, you're gonna be right.
You're in the good stuff.
Exactly.
You know.
And also, we have people all the time when we do hit, when Colton kills a lot of them, 45 and 60 degrees away in the wild. And then when you're showing the hero shot, it's hard to get people to understand that just because they see this red hole
Back here.
that we don't shoot them
Camera back here.
Yeah, you know, they don't get it, you know, because that's what we've been sold.
Because they
on
can't
TV.
see that the exit hole is here.
They don't get that we've been sold in the hunting industry that it's got to be broadside on TV. And if you're a hunter, you realize that deer won't stop broadside all the time.
Now, I'm not sitting here saying you shouldn't take broadside shots. That is not what we're saying either.
No.
If you can get him to turn broadside and stand in the middle of the lane for you, please take that shot.
When was the last time you set up a broadside shot? That's all I want to
The
know.
fox today. He's only this
That
big.
doesn't count. Set up a deer.
Well, I gave you an antelope. He was just in tall grass.
Yeah, where you could only see the top of his back.
You could just see his back.
Some of us aren't 6'5".
We're talking about something I don't like. That is one thing that what I don't like is that I can't see through the grass to see where I need to shoot the animal. Because, you know, if I can't see his withers, I can't, or maybe I can see the withers, but I can't come down to where that.
How far down is the
Right, how
belly?
far it is.
Yeah.
Because of the grass. You know, the arrow will go.
The antelope was that way today.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the grass, well, the first round, it was that way. The second round, the rain had beat it down. You could actually see the animal.
The howling wolf was kind of that way too.
And I actually walked down a lot of grass. Y'all should have seen him whenever we set him. When Brandon took him down there and set him, I was like, I can't even see his head.
Well,
There was
the only-
nothing.
only way-
I walked down so much grass.
The only way you could range him today is you had to range his head.
Right.
Because you couldn't range the body.
Well, is what we're getting into there is a discussion that I've had with many shooters, and so many of them, especially you guys that come all the time, will refuse to protest a target. And
We just shoot it anyway.
right, exactly. But is what I'm saying is we put the protest rule in there to teach us what we can and can't do, because we may look at it as thinking, well, we can reference enough of it and we can shoot it. But if enough of the shooters tell us that's not a legal shot because we can't reference
Well,
it.
you know, Colton maybe
Then-
can see it, but me, I
Right,
can't.
because that's
I couldn't see it either when I said it, to be
right,
honest.
because what we tell people, we tell people is like when we do the window shots, okay, we tell them, look, there is a window sill. And you protesting that you can't go over the window sill because you're shorter allows him to then come back at 6'4" and reference, when he changes it, it automatically changes his brain to know, oh, I have to put the window sill from my vision here instead of here. Because that's why in the pre-shoot speech, he will say, I'm 6'4", some of you are not. And so, you know, we have Lane that when he came all the time though, he wouldn't protest a shot either. Instead, he tried to find a quarter size hole that he could stick his arrow through.
No, the wolf shot today, there was one limb down there that went up and it was broke. And like this, and you had to shoot at that. If you hit that, you got a 15. Yeah.
Because it was right against the target.
It was just right there.
Right.
But that, and, you know, but if you didn't know where it was at,
Uh-huh.
like the guys in front of us, you could hear them talking. Well, you can't even see that target.
See,
And we got up there,
and
it's like,
because the rules say it has to be distinguishable. So you have to be able to see enough of it to say that it is a wolf, and then you have to have a hunter's reference of where you're supposed to aim.
yeah, there was no.
So if there's not, then that's an illegal target. And that's why I'm saying here, that's my thing is, it's not that I don't, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you that the shot was legal. I'm saying when we set one that way, because we drew a fuzzy line as to what's legal. And we put the protest rule in for you to say, hey, here's the eraser. You went over the line, you know?
Well, but
And,
it's,
and
you know,
also, I
like
bet those
said,
tree limbs
for-
kept coming
for
down
guys
because
who
when
are
I said
really
it, standing
serious
up,
about their
even
sport.
at my height,
Yeah.
I could see his nose
I can
about
see
18
that.
inches above him.
But,
We're talking
but,
over here.
but for guys like us, we come and shoot this for fun.
Right.
If I shoot a 390 today,
Mhm.
which I'm happy with,
Right,
I wouldn't be happy if I shot a 190.
right.
But I'm gonna have a good time because we were laughing and joking and.
Sure.
And that's why we come.
Right, and I get that.
It's not
but-
the
but that-
score, the dog
right.
tags.
But,
or anything.
but what I'm getting at is for us to make it where that guy's having fun, if he will use the rule to his advantage of, hey, I want you to come down here and look at it with me. Because there's gonna be times, just like you just saw Colton, him and I won't agree whether or not it's legal or not. But we're gonna take that opinion of that shooter and one of two things. We're either gonna go down there and teach the shooter, this is how you can make the shot, or we're gonna go, okay, no, I agree. You know, that's not legal.
Or I'll go, hey, that wasn't there 20 minutes ago with 4 inches less rain.
Yes, and we have we've had more than one. I was telling you, I think I was telling y'all about it, but we were down in Denison, Texas, probably 10 years ago, and they had a lot of like 14-foot tall grass there. Well, we didn't realize when we set up the course that it had rained for a week before that. So that stuff was just soaked in water. Saturday, even though it was sunny, it didn't move much. But by Sunday, this stuff starts coming up, and we had 5 targets vanish.
Gone.
You know, so we had to go out there and completely cut the grass down because when we set the target, it was laying like this. Well, when it started coming up, it literally grew up 7 feet. And so it was gone.
And then there was that one time at World with that briar bush that the whole weekend we went out there like 7-8 times on protests because you were supposed to shoot. It was just this clump of briars, and you were supposed to shoot right over the top of it into a deer. And again, whenever the sun would move, that bush would move to get into the sunlight. And so literally, you'd go out there and the target is wide open. You can see his hooves. And then another time, you could see his nose and his ears. So we'd have to go trim it, and then it'd go back up again. And then it'd come all the way back down the next morning. You're like, what is going on with this bush?
And more than once, we had like wind to come through on Saturday night and stuff fall out of the tree. And then we go out there and look when somebody protested, hey, no, that legitimately wasn't there. And so we just tossed that away. And then we've had the few times, and it's only been a few, that we've actually had shooters go out there and put stuff in front of the target to make it harder for someone else.
I haven't seen one of those in a lot of years.
No, it's been a long time, but we had about 3 or 4 guys that about 2 years in a row, they were going around doing that. And when we started narrowing down that, okay, we think it's this group or this group, well, both groups quit. So we figured it was probably a combination of those 2 groups that were just messing with stuff to be messing with stuff, you know. But those kind of things is, no, they're gonna happen, you know, the public. You know, you get turd heads in the public. The rest of you'll all be great, and it'll be, you know, turd heads, you know.
Yeah.
That's what Colton says sometimes in the pre-shoot speech. Just don't be a turd, you know.
If you're to have fun.
If you're gonna be a turd, go somewhere else, you know.
The guy that shot with us today, he had a tough day. I mean, he hit some really, really good shots, but he had a tough day.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, okay, and I don't think he'd ever shot your stuff before.
Right.
And it's
No,
like,
he was new.
and it's like, you know, this is pretty tame compared to what they'll get later in the year.
Right.
And I think he really liked it,
Yeah.
but was having a problem with his shoulder.
Well, one of the things we keep getting, and Colton and I have gone back and forth for years over this of whether we should or we shouldn't. And sometimes he's on one side of it, sometimes on another. Is that people tell us they think that the scoring system itself on the targets, the different angles, is fine. But they think if we really wanted to pull in the people, that we would simply widen the shooting lanes out and not do any of the leaning, kneeling, whatever that away. What do y'all think on that concept?
Well, for me, so you have the bed and butt down there, and I have to crawl down there and get on my knees so I can touch the stake, because I gotta touch the stake.
Right.
And now I've got to figure out, okay, now where's my shooting lane? And if I could get that close to that animal in that situation already, then I could get in a position that I could have a real clearer shot.
Uh-huh.
You know, because evidently he's a stupid dumb.
He's deaf, dumb, and blind.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
today, everything was, other than the rain, got you today.
The difficulty of the course today was the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we tried to set up a beginning of the year, pretty much say like out of 1 to 10, we think today would have been around a 5.5.
With minus the weather.
Without
And you
weather.
had-
With the weather, it probably jumped up to a 7.
Right, yeah.
Without the weather, it's a 5.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's what I was getting at.
You had several targets that I thought, now why did they not put the stake right there where that tree is? Now I have to either lean over here or over here to shoot.
He's trying to make them harder.
And you put it right there on the side, you know, but for me, it was still open.
And Thomas told us on the white turkey that you had the stakes over here where it's wide open,
Yeah,
and he moved them over behind a tree.
yeah. He moved him up. He said, "Move him over here." And like, and I know he told him like twice. He'd been doing that behind me the whole time. Like, Thomas, it's the first shoot of the year. Let's not be too hard on these guys. Finally, now I was like, just move him. I don't care.
That's
It's
always,
wet and I'm cold. I want to go back to the camper. Let's get this done.
That has always been a back and forth thing too. That's internally that we've always discussed with team members and stuff like that over the years is, and sometimes the majority of team members would be one way and sometimes they'd be the other. But I've always tried to, this is the beginning of the year, let's get a little harder, let's get a little harder, let's get a little harder. You come to World, hey,
World.
expect to work for it, you know? And then we've had other people say, well, no, I think it should be World hard all year long. Well, I think if we do that, I think we're running off the new shooters that are coming in.
Anybody that's new, that's never shot it before, if it was any harder than today, they're done.
Yeah, they're not coming back.
Right.
And that's what we've seen
Especially
over the
earlier
years
in the
that
season.
we've done that.
Yeah.
Because we actually did that, right there just before COVID, for about 3 years right before COVID. The majority of the group wanted to, let's do it all out all year long. And, oh, Jimmy, I just think you're gonna see better results. Well, we were seeing numbers begin to go down.
Well,
Because I think if we step people into it all year long, then they come to World knowing that, hey, it's supposed to
As
be
your
a
skill
world
set
championship.
grows throughout the year, it gets more difficult continuing to challenge you.
I mean, that's the same thing as the ASA.
Uh-huh.
We set the range at Trosper
Right.
for our leagues. Well, week one, every animal is in the middle of the lane, standing broadside, nothing hard about it. You know,
Right.
you might get a few shots that are full distance, you know.
Right.
Red stakes are gonna be 40, white 45, black's gonna be 50. Everybody's
Right.
gonna be shooting a max at one or two animals.
Right.
And then the next week, it's, the animals will move a little bit and get a little closer to the trees, and you might have another long shot.
Right.
And then now, this past week, it's pretty tough.
Right.
I mean, we were shooting through peas and trees. Now, nothing compared to what you do.
Right.
I mean, because we want everybody to come back.
Well,
You know,
that's the thing.
You know, we give them a gap like this and set the animal where the 8 ring in, you can see it all.
Right.
Now, and you know, some of them say, well, you can't see the whole animal. So, well, if you hit him in the butt, you're not gonna kill him anyway. So just hit him.
That sounds like a you problem to me.
Because technically, and this is, I've actually had ASA shooters argue with me about this. The rules in the ASA does not say it's gotta be a 6 foot wide shooting lane with him stuck in the center.
No.
That's what the shooter wants.
Oh, yeah.
But in all actuality, if you read the rule book, it says the entire 8 ring
Well, you-
must be visible.
If you talk to Brad Timmerman, the
Yeah.
guy who's over Texas, whenever he came to our state up at Oklahoma City Gun Club,
Mhm.
I was talking with him because I set the ranges there at Trosper. And he said, no, I love to see a tree in the middle of the lane, and they set the animal where the 8 ring is just off the
Yeah,
tree.
yeah.
He said, the people that come to this, they should be good enough. You know, he said, now, don't get me wrong. He said, you get the kids and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta eliminate that. The adults that come to this, they're good enough to hit that.
Right.
Now, if that tree gets in their head, that's their fault.
Right. Well, that's what, talking about Brad Timmerman, love the guy to death, absolutely. We were sitting down there and had a big rainstorm come in that particular weekend too, but when we were setting up, it wasn't raining. And it blowed my mind because up to that point, that's what I always heard is ASA wanted everything in the middle of the lane, no dark targets in a dark hole, you know, everything like that. He gets plumb giddy and excited because he goes, wait a minute. You don't have a rule that says we can't put a dark target in a dark hole, right? And I said, no. I said, matter of fact, I like it because it's real life. A dark animal is going to go walk in the
He
shadows.
said, give it a pig.
Well, it was actually a strutting turkey, and he had this tunnel that, I mean, it had briars. It had small saplings, and the briars had grown around their lane. So it's just black. It's a hole. And he took this strutting turkey all the way down to the end of that thing. You know, and I'm sitting here going, this is the ASA state director.
He started putting other
You know,
things in trees.
yeah, you know, and it was just funny because when he come back up there after setting the target, I said, I thought this was the stuff that you hate. He said, this is the stuff I enforce because that's what the rules are. He said, it didn't say I liked it. You know, and I said, oh, that's cool, you know. And we haven't got to go back down there in a few years, but anyway.
Yeah, another thing, getting back to new shooters and all that, well, you know, they come into this and, you know, they're new, they just got their equipment, they don't wanna lose their arrows, or break
Sure.
their arrows, you know, so that's one thing that, you know, the difficulty of the course.
Well, that's also why we have the beginners class is they're not shooting from 40 yards, they're not shooting from 60 for sure. That it's the beginners class. You get to have a rangefinder. It's only 30 yards, and yeah, it's the same class you're shooting from in single pin. So yeah, later in the season that state can very, very much get difficult, but early in the season like this, no, single pin's usually pretty open. The 30-yard class is pretty open. That's because it's beginners, women, and single pin. So I try to keep the 30-yard class, for the most part, fairly easy.
Right. Well, the one thing I like about too, you know, I'm shooting the 30, single pin 30, but I have 30-yard shots, and I have 10-foot shots.
Yes.
Mhm.
ASA,
Yeah.
I shoot the 40-yard max,
Mhm.
and I'll have never anything less than 20, very seldom.
Right.
And I'll have a quarter of my shots will be between 36 and 40 yards.
Because if you're setting the standard, as I call it, ASA course, that a lot of them want is the 6 foot wide lane, animal in the middle. The only way to make it difficult is to stretch it out.
Yeah, but, and you're sitting back, the thing is, an argument against the ASA is you've got these pro 40-yard shooters, so you got to make that as hard as difficult you can for them.
Right.
But you've got me, a 70-year-old,
Absolutely.
can't see, and now you expect me to shoot a quarter at 40 yards that I can't see,
Right.
because I don't use a lens, but this guy does. So, you know,
Right.
explain that to me.
Exactly.
You know, how am I supposed to have fun to accommodate you?
Right. Exactly. I understand.
Why did you do away with the 40-yard no rangefinder class?
Only because
Popular demand.
Yeah, only because everybody right then when we did it, I mean, we were just being pounded by every person it seemed like that walked in the registration that no, we don't want to judge yardage here either. That's what we had at ASA. Everybody had gone.
And we had the rangefinder class and the at 40 and the unknown class at 40. And the rangefinder classes, when we'd have good turnouts, would have 25 people in the rangefinder class, and there was me, you, and one other guy in the 40-yard class.
Jared.
Right.
Yeah, and that was it. It was the three of us and
So-
maybe two other randos.
So
So it's
actually going
affording a buckle.
to where everything is rangefinder except for single pin was I'll just put it this way, a desperate attempt at that point of trying to see if we could get people to come back in. Because we understood what happened in '08. That's a whole big story about the belt buckle fiasco that took place back then. We understood why we collapsed then. But God built it back from '09 to 2018 and put us in the same 5 states, put us in the same number of turnout, you know, and everything like that. And all of a sudden then 2018 to 2020, everything's rocking along and we don't know what happened.
Besides the obvious
We had
coffin was COVID.
Yeah, COVID happened and T.H.E. has struggled ever since. And so we don't think it was anything we did necessarily, but we think that it was a case of COVID shifted a mindset to a lot of people. You see it in the work industry. You know, you have people now at your fast food restaurants that before COVID, the fast food restaurants wouldn't have even hired. You
Well,
know,
I mean,
because of
I
work
can
ethic.
remember.
And so I don't know how that translates to 3D, but as I'm saying, I think something shifted, and I don't think people really want to be challenged as much now as they once did.
You had I don't know, I can't remember their names, a husband and wife that had 2 or 3 kids. And they came to every shoot. And then COVID hit and haven't seen them since.
Right.
But, you know, and this discussion isn't about politics. The economy, people
Yes.
can't
Economy been
afford.
horrible.
Right. I mean, and I know you've
and
taken
we
your
wonder-
prices down, but people can't afford to come out with mom and dad and 3 little ones that all shoot.
Right. And
That's
Afford the
expensive.
gas to
And
drive
see,
4 hours.
We did the
and then-
same thing there. The reason that, you know, okay, the men, us men are gonna do the most damage to the targets. You look at the women, you look at the traditional and the youth. All 3 of those classes combined are not gonna do as much damage to the targets as we are, you know? And so I lowered the prices on them, trying to get more women to come out, more traditionalists to come out, and make it affordable to bring the kids too. And I don't know if I'm not marketing that enough. I don't know what the deal is.
I think he's
Now-
more right that it's just the economy.
It could be,
Right.
and the economy is improving here. You know.
It's hard for, we're both retired.
Yeah,
This is just fun stuff for us. But the working family, who mom and dad are both working, it's hard to come down here to drive like what we did.
Yeah.
3 hours
right.
and spend $65 entry fees,
Plus the hotel.
plus a hotel tonight,
And the gas.
and dinner, and then driving back tomorrow.
Right.
It's like, that's more, that's more throwaway money than what they have.
I had a gentleman this weekend at the Backwoods show, that he told me this, and so I was gonna ask y'all specifically this question. He thinks that is what happened, again, maybe economy, whatever that way, but on my end is what he thinks that I did after COVID, is he said, you've put all of your advertising 100% digital. You're not handing out flyers anymore. And he says, you have a lot of your crowd that are not Facebookers. They're not TikTokers. And he said, so he was suggesting, because we had him there on the table, he said, I'm so glad to see that you have printed flyers. And he himself picked up like 10. He said, I'll take these to people. And that is probably, since 2020, that is probably the first stack of flyers we've ever taken anywhere. And we used to, for example, one of our big marketing deals. Now, of course, y'all don't do it anymore because I think they did away with the Sooner State Games and whatever that way. But that Sooner State Games used to be, we're going there to hand out flyers. Because there at Trosper, y'all had so many shooters. And that's what I think I even mentioned it to you when we first started you guys hosting again, is there something that T.H.E can do to replace that concept, and us do that at the beginning of the year, and that just never panned out, whatever that way. But, I don't know, but that's where we're at, and I think we'll kind of wrap this up with that, unless y'all got something else to add.
As far as that goes, everybody that I meet and I shoot, and they ask me, what do I shoot? I said, well, I shoot several different ones, but if I only had to shoot one, it would be Deermans.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest, if you haven't done it, to go out and shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just, for me as a hunter, not as a target archer, it's not for a target archer.
No, it's not.
It's for hunters.
Yeah, because that's exactly what the gentleman that owned the range down there where we just went down by Ardmore. That's what he told me, is he said, the ASA, he said, we're shooting not to a region of the target, we're shooting to a dot.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is teaching people to shoot to a region of the animal. He said, which I agree with your scoring system, that it's real life, or at least as close as anybody's ever got. He said, but it is absolutely two different mindsets of how to play that game. He said, what you're doing is not the same as what we're doing out here today. And I agree with that.
No.
100%.
Well, it's, like you said, the guys, I shoot with the scope now.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I go out and range it, I can go, all right, it's 30 yards. I can set my dial on 31 and I can aim dead center, and the worst I'm gonna get is top of the 12, maybe a little higher, a 10.
Uh-huh.
Out here, it's 30 yards, but I gotta shoot over that limb and around that little tree, so I better set it on 32 and I'll shoot at the middle of the 12.
Right, on this particular shot.
Because I can't hit that
Right,
12,
that
little,
15, yeah.
that little quarter that they're shooting at.
Well, the other thing too, have you ever thought about to promote more first-time shooters that come your first time,
Mm-hmm.
it's for free, shoot free?
We have, the only fear on that whatsoever is getting overloaded with people that you didn't make money off of, and then you're literally losing money
Right.
because but
First time shooter shoots for $10.
well,
Well, that's what we did with the flyers at the Backwoods show. Even is I said, hey, keep up with that flyer, bring it with you, and for you and a buddy is half off. No matter,
2 for 1.
yeah,
because
because I'm not handing you one flyer,
Right.
but he's coming too now.
exactly. The other thing we've thought about, and it's two things that we've thought about. One, keeping our dog tag system that's for the individual stages, but going to money the way the ASA is. That okay, just off however many people entered in your class, this is how much you get back. Or the other thing we've thought about is still keeping our individual dog tags that you can win and go home, but doing this the way Shot and Tack is doing it, in the mannerism of that, hey, this is a fun shoot. This is the price to come shoot for fun. here's our dog tags that you can individually still win. You can win something today. Yeah, you can earn by getting better. But then, okay, my own archery shop, and then maybe talk to other archery shops of that, hey, do you want to sponsor this one event with a dozen arrows? You know, that randomly, we're gonna pull a card and you get to take that certificate that my shop or other shops, that you can go get a dozen arrows. And of the two scenarios, what do you think yourself, what would bring more people in? The fun shoot, and that, hey, somebody's gonna walk away with a dozen arrows, a sight, or or a certificate for $50 to come into, my bow shop.
Colton knows when you guys come up to our place and we do the triple threat thing.
Yeah,
We always have. I get the 3 bow shops there in town, and they'll all pony up 50 or $100, something like that. And then sometimes we get some stuff from Traditions where they'll give some arrows or something.
right.
And Trosper will always kick in a couple memberships. You guys do the
Annual.
we do an annual pass.
Season pass, yeah.
Yeah, the annual pass guy. I like him because he brings me.
Yeah.
You know, but that brings people in.
Right. I like your idea for 10, or even if it was just the $15, because I know with the awards, if I don't have a minimum of $15 per person, then I'm gonna lose money on the awards.
Well, then 15 would be your minimum. But I mean,
But
if you
we
do,
could definitely say your first time is
if
for that.
you do first timers are $10.
Yeah.
And if you see you're getting overrun, then you can always say, well, we've had to bump it up to $12.50 or
Yeah.
$13.
Yeah, but the thing is, if that first timer comes back to next shoot,
Yes.
and then he may bring somebody with
Yeah,
him.
then it goes to,
That's how you.
yes, then it goes to growing.
Right.
So I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. That'll be something that we will discuss. That's a really good idea that you brought up there. That, hey, your first time to come try us is a lesser price,
And we
regardless
know
of
from
that.
Prosper that this is just a quarter of the people that we, come down.
Oh, yeah.
We-
Yeah,
Well,
right.
all of our people this week, we have our Trosper swamped this week, and we just ran off and left them.
Yeah.
Bye!
Yeah, we've got league going on Sunday. We've got Boy Scout coming out to do his Eagle Project tomorrow on Sunday also. And all of that, and we have a work day next Saturday, and all these people that didn't come today, come down here, they're at home doing the stuff that we were supposed to be doing. So, take that part off of the, off the film.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
But then one other thing too, have you ever thought about moving the single pin to 35 max?
We did.
We did for a little while.
And the numbers tanked. I loved it. I loved it as being a 35.
I think it
Yeah,
should
we
be
did it
a
for
40.
4 years.
That way he has to shoot as far as I did.
But for 4 years, we did it a 35-yard
That
max.
35 to
And
me,
we went down to 3 shooters. Me and 2 other guys was all playing the game.
that'd be the ultimate challenge.
Because-
So that extra
because
5
what we
yards
saw-
isn't that much.
what
but
we
then-
saw-
But when you only got one pin, it's a long freaking
But
one.
we saw the 3 of us that played it consistent. You went from shooting a 25-yard pin that just hit high and low, and you virtually don't even have to hold for it.
Not worth it.
You went to it being the same rise and fall off of a 28-yard pin, and you think we only got those last 7 yards left, but it was the exact same rise and fall off of a 28-yard pin to 20 as it was to 35. And so that became interesting enough to me. We were then playing the game exactly the same as we played single pin when I used to have the 288 rule. It felt the same at 30 yards at 288 as it does at above 300 feet per second at 28 for 35. I loved it. The other 2 guys that were doing it loved it. But we went from having regained it that high.
Literally
But
went
we
down
went
to
from
25.
20 something people playing single pin at almost every event to 3.
But see, for me, it's not that extra 5 yards that would be the problem. is shooting those close targets.
Yeah, and well, and
They're like, okay, I got
the
him in his
thing
kneecap.
we've thought of, and the three of us that played sat down and talked about it one time, just didn't do it on film. But what we think is that if and when we ever develop pro classes, that will be one of them, is that you'll go single pin pro at 35.
But see, another thing too that you maybe bring in would be the IBO people, cause they have a 35-yard class that we
They
shoot.
have to judge.
And
IBO's all
and they're-
judge.
and they're-
Right, and I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, it should still all be judged. I thought going to a rangefinder for 5
For
years.
tooth and nail,
hard.
we both thought, because
Because-
in both of our opinion, really, it's a skill set as a hunter that you need to have. Not should, but in my opinion, it is a need. If you want to be on the elite level of hunting, being able to look at a deer and go, that's at 32 yards, and kill him without having to, even if it's strapped to your chest like mine is. I've killed multiple deer that I was walking to the stand or out of the stand or whatever, that, oh, hey, there's deer. Oh. And I ain't got time to make the extra movement of dig this thing out, click, now put that back, then start loading. No, I am loading an arrow and going, okay, 28 yards, I got you. Poof! And was right. And she went 30 yards and fell over.
Because in my opinion, when I hear somebody, even now that we have the rangefinder classes come in and they make the statement to me, I'm so glad that you made this all rangefinder, because I just can't judge yardage anymore because we shoot rangefinder. I'm going, you do not realize how handicapped you've made yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like he's saying, I agree 100%. Your favorite deer stand, you know where every rock is, you know where everything is, so it might as well be rangefinder. But I'm talking about walking to and from the stand, late morning and early evening. Do you know how to get that animal shot? And or two of you have met up and you're standing there in the woods, and that's what and it turned into a big fight with the gentleman. I will not call his name. If he sees this, he knows exactly who it was. We turned into, people were turning their heads. It got loud enough. But I sat there and gave him the scenario. I said, we're both standing here, and a doe comes running out across right there. I know how far she is, and I draw, and she's moving, and and kill her. You see her break, and you don't know how far she is, and you got to pull out your rangefinder and stop her. Which one of us actually killed that deer? Because I promise you, when you stopped her, she's looking at you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to put that rangefinder down and draw this. I'm going to kill her where she stopped. And I said, if you do not see that as a skill set that a hunter needs, you are an absolute idiot. Now, I apologize to him later for calling him an idiot, but the thing is, I think you need to know it. But I'm currently trying to get more people to come. I went the easier route.
Like I said, it was popular demand.
Yeah, like we said earlier, get me 5 people that will come to me and say they'll come play it as often as you do.
Is Jeremy coming tomorrow?
Yeah, and Jeremy would love to go back.
And I'll jump in.
So, but you're not paying.
Well,
Give me 5 paying shooters that will play the game without a rangefinder. We'll reopen the class
easily.
and come consistently.
He would.
I can probably bring 2 more with me.
Okay,
Because
that's what I'm getting at.
What I'm planning
Do that
on-
and we'll reopen the class, because I would love to see the non-rangefinder classes be reopened. And I would love to see that the others dwindled off, but I know that's not gonna happen. There's too many people that are dependent on the rangefinder.
Because I'm playing the men's 60-yard class to give myself the greatest challenge I can give myself, I feel like. And even when I'm doing that, last year, by the end of the year, when we got to World, I touched my rangefinder on the World Championship class. Because I was judging the yardage, and that's how
whenever we go to the ASA, whenever I'm shooting min 60, going anywhere, I judge the yardage first, and then I'll pull out my rangefinder. So that way you still have that tool in your toolbox, even when you're shooting an unknown or a known yardage class. Is I judge the yardage and then I go, okay, that's 54. It was only 50. Okay, and move on.
Okay, we're gonna call my back's killing
All right. Well, then, any other last remarks or anything like that?
me. Yeah, anything y'all like to add? Just started back, just started cramping on me.
I know what you mean.
All right, guys.
I
If
gotta
y'all
talk
stuck
to
to
my
the
wife.
end, I really appreciate y'all sticking to the end of the video and everything like that. If y'all have anything to add to this conversation, leave it in the comments. Everything like that. Do the YouTube things, like, subscribe.
Or if you're one of the shooters, you would like for us to sit down and have this same conversation with you, let us know.
And we'll definitely do it.